You're watching Stat News Global. I'm Amitabh Brevi, and I'm really glad to see from Washington, D.C., Elizabeth Becker. She's an award winning author and journalist, a Southeast Asia expert. Ms. Becker, thank you so much for your time.
Uh, Very happy to be here.
I just wanted to get your comments on the latest incident that's happened on the northern borders of India, line of actual control. There's been another incident in escalation. The Indian
Mhm.
government, the Indian army says that they have actually preempted what their surveillance and reconnaissance was telling them the Chinese were going to do. Now, in the larger picture, we saw clashes earlier in the same area. Do you see it as a pattern of Chinese and especially Xi Jinping's military aggression across the region? I mean, it goes all the way from the East China Sea to the South China Sea to Burma to Myanmar to Bhutan to India.
Um, I can't say that I see a pattern per se. I can talk to you about Southeast Asia because
Yeah.
I think I understand their goals there. But I can say that what's striking is the confidence that China is showing. Right now, they are acting on whatever their goals are. I think knowing that the United States is not there to balance out any of their encroachments or whatever, that they know that President Trump is extremely naive about foreign affairs. He shoots from the hip, and right now he is he may have superficially good relationships with your Prime Minister Narendra Modi, but does he understand what's going on? Probably not. He is completely obsessed with winning re-election. So I think China is seeing that the field is pretty open, and I'm not sure what their goals are in India, but the field looks pretty open.
When you talk about the field being very open, and of course, you're an expert on Southeast Asia, you've covered wars in Laos, in Vietnam, in Cambodia. In your latest piece, you have talked about what you describe as an unmistakable whiff of Chinese imperialism. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's and I qualify it saying this is not old-fashioned asking smaller countries to bring gifts to the Middle Kingdom. This is very modern sense of the people feeling that if they don't watch their steps, the countries of Southeast Asia feel a 21st version of colonialism. I mean, people can call it neo-colonialism, proto-colonialism, whatever, but um, they, the Chinese are quite open about their encroachments, about the way they want to embrace these countries, put them in their fold. That they're very clever at organized corruption of the elite, so that they fall in line for this. Not all countries. There are two countries in particular, the Philippines and Cambodia, whose leaders very much fit that profile. And so you see a pattern of China, centuries old relationship with these countries, know these countries, and they know their weaknesses, they know how to play the leverage, and they know how to manipulate the leadership. And it's had incredible consequences. So the rule of law from Singapore has been very good about calling China off. Singapore, you have to follow the rule of law. And the Philippines had brought them to court and won a case on South China Sea. But then Duterte became the leader, made a quick trip to Beijing, came back, and turned his back on his own country's favorable ruling against the Chinese. So you have this great fear that China does not follow international standards, be it, as I just said, in the dispute over the South China Sea,
Yeah.
human rights, journalists. We journalists
Mhm.
certainly have a fear of them. So, and they are spreading those refusal to respect those laws and those standards all across Southeast Asia, and that's worrisome.
You talked about two cases, and that was again Cambodia and Hun Sen, the prime minister there, and again Philippines and President Rodrigo Duterte. Explain a little bit more of how China is getting their way in those two countries and what those two leaders are gaining from it.
Okay, very good question. Let's start with Cambodia, the country I know the best. Hun Sen, a few years ago in 2017, was faced with the distinct possibility that he would lose a national election, first time.
Yeah.
And he had already developed close relationships with China for money and for aid, for military aid, economic aid, and he'd given a lot in return. A lot, opening up immigrations, opening up businesses that, in fact, undercut his own countries. But this time, he really needed help, and China gave him the support that he knew he needed to take the police and military action to eliminate the opposition, to get rid of all of independent journalism, to complete the takeover of anything resembling independence in the judiciary system. And in return, we have seen essentially Cambodia giving up their big port city of Sihanoukville, which is on the Gulf of Thailand, give it over to the Chinese, who've turned it into a Las Vegas. It's crazy. Cambodians are not supposed to gamble, and now they have one of the biggest cities of casinos in the region, and it's Chinese built, Chinese workers, Chinese owners, Chinese gamblers. It's a little bit of China right there on the Gulf, and nearby, although it's not public, it's very much presumed that Cambodia also gave base rights to China.
Yeah.
So that's the military side. On the diplomatic side, so we've got the commercial side, opening it up. I saw an ad once for an apartment building, to buy an apartment in Shanghai, and you could get a free one in Phnom Penh. The United States, I see what I'm talking about. In the United States has significant investigations of how China is using construction of hotels in Cambodia and other countries as money laundering. And so then the final piece is diplomatic, and Hun Sen has been a perfect stooge for, and that's a strong word, but it's sadly it's accurate, for ensuring that ASEAN does not take a position
Yeah.
on the South China Seas. And in the United States, the South China Seas is the big issue. They don't look at everything else at all, but they do look at the South China Seas because Americans are very worried that we'll have what's called an October surprise, and that either the Americans or the Chinese will somehow trigger a war. I don't believe that, but I don't pretend to have any special knowledge. But this is the trigger point for the United States. Is the South China Seas, and particularly in the Trump administration, but earlier, all this whole century, the United States has put less emphasis on diplomacy, on our embassies and our diplomats, and much more on the military. So it means everything's in one basket. So how do you respond to China? And that's one of the fears with Hun Sen. Now, the Philippines, as I said, Duterte immediately dropped the victory that the Philippines won in the case. And also, you've seen just ruthless suppression of journalism.
Mm-hmm.
And Ressa is the woman who runs, and the name just went right through my head. Exactly. How she can be jailed with these phony charges, backdated laws and all that sort of stuff. So it's really without any fear of having any standards. It's just wipe out the speech and all those. And of course, President Trump likes his war on drugs and encourages Duterte. So it's a really sad situation.
So say with President Rodrigo Duterte, who was looked at trying to play both sides of the table,
Yes.
the US and China, when he's talking about giving up the bases, etc. Are they failing in that attempt? Are they tilting completely towards China?
Well, what the question here is, can you have a dialogue with the United States right now?
Mm.
And it's hard to find evidence that the United States is offering that kind of balance. Yes, the military wants to, but
Sure.
more and more China is trying to push the Americans out. And you see that even in Thailand, which is one
And
of
are they
America's.
succeeding?
Well, I think in Thailand, there was a bit of a push, but Thailand has been able to balance. Now in Cambodia, they totally succeeded. Vietnam
Yeah.
has everybody hopes that Vietnam will keep China back, but when I was
Mhm.
there, China is still a big shadow and a very important commercial partner to Vietnam. So they've held back in terms of the military, but even Vietnam, Malaysia,
Mhm.
Philippines, they're the ones who have to confront China in terms of the military on the South China Seas. And there,
Sure.
without a joint ASEAN position, China can pick off one country after the other. And that's what
Mhm.
they do, one country after the other. And you saw there was just recently, in this last week,
Yeah.
a missile firing.
Yeah.
Now, as an American, these are tactics not unknown to the United States, I have to
Mhm.
say. So it's not that they are going to, you can automatically say this is going to trigger a war, but it's scary. It's one of those moments in global politics where it's frightening.
So the pushback you were saying, unless it comes concerted, as Vietnam now is holding the chair for ASEAN, and there was a statement that mentioned the Philippines case that you were talking about at The Hague, etc.
Yes.
You don't see them working concertedly, ASEAN as a group, because of say Laos and Cambodia being in the Chinese camp completely, because they have
Well,
to work on unanimity, right? The
yeah,
ASEAN works on that principle.
exactly. And this is Hun Sen's position. No, we will not take a unified position. So it's, and even though, as you know, we were talking about, Singapore
Mhm.
was very important through former Ambassador Tommy Koh in making the whole Law of Sea Convention. And they believe very much in the Law of Sea, since this is one of the most important trading routes in the world.
Yep.
And even though I'm not in any way suggesting that China's trying to stop the trade, but it is such that for the United States, we have more commercial activity in economic investment in ASEAN
Mhm.
than in China, Japan, and South Korea combined. So
And India combined, I think.
uh, I, I'm not sure about. I probably throw in India too.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is critical, and I don't see the American administration. I'm not sure they even understand the depth and complexity and the nuance of China's ability right now through economics, the aid program, the Great Belt and Road that has caused so much headache, some benefit, but as well as headaches. The political dimension, the military, it's the cultural, the soft power of China. I don't think the United States understands how deep the embrace, the literal embrace, pulling these countries into their womb. And they talk about Greater China, which they hadn't been talking about for years.
Elizabeth Becker, thank you so much for your insight and your time in this interview.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it very much.
Just a reminder to our viewers, you can get all the latest news and analysis from an Indian perspective on our website, statnewsglobal.com. You can also click on that bell icon on YouTube to get reminders of videos like this that we put up. And do support our journalism if you like our initiative on our website. You're watching Stat News Global. I'm Amitabh Reddy.